What's up, everybody? Welcome to the AFL Round 6 preview. Goodness me, Carlton and the Brisbane Lions. I just can't believe we've already had 5 games. It's been... it's been an emotional roller coaster already, and you just know there are so many more twists and turns. And I think one thing I've had to remind myself is that amongst all the disappointment of round 5, and we're all seething and whatnot, we have footy, and at least we have something to talk about, and at least we have something to feel, whether it be good or bad, about. So there's a lot worse going on in the world, but the reality is a lot of us attach our time, emotion, finances to this footy club, and we just want to see success. That's really what it all comes down to, and I think we've really made it clear what our expectations are, and that's probably the takeaway for me going into round 6, from the fans to the footy club and the wider AFL community. The standards have been raised. Yeah, the standards have been raised. We cannot settle any longer for performances like what we saw against Port Adelaide. And the beauty of this week is that it's the Brisbane Lions who have just hit form. They played a really good game last week against the Bombers. Lachie Neale finally got himself into form, and they're going to come to Marvel Stadium on Saturday afternoon, and it's going to be perfect conditions for footy, and it's going to require a high level of skill to win the game. It's going to be a fast, frenetic game, and one thing we didn't do last week is use our skills very well at all. They were very much a disappointment, and we're going to find out exactly where we're at and how we stack up. I think a lot of people are still hurting. It's only Tuesday at the time of recording this. But you just know we're winning this game, don't you? You just know we're winning this game. I actually put my tips in early in the week, and I didn't tip us. I tipped Brisbane. And then I had a sleep, and then I realised, no, that's the game where Carlton win. So once everything jumps off, once the media latch into us, that's really when they click into gear. And I've spoken a little bit about what I think this team is motivated by. And for the most part, I've read a little bit about fear. And you're either driven by the fear of failure, or you're driven by the carrot dangling in front of you. I think Chris Judd even spoke about that quite a few years ago. And my observations of this group, pertaining to this rebuild, is that they really grit the teeth and show their focus for 4 quarters after, being doubted and being lashed into and from the supporter base or the mainstream media. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we have that mentality as a group. I wish that once we got above water and got to, the shallow part of the water, that we didn't need to be thrown back into the deep end to swim back up into the shallow part of the water. But unfortunately, that just is what we do at the moment. And as much as I struggle to make the case for how we can beat the Lions, that's exactly kind of why I think we'll beat the Lions. I think we'll switch on. And look, the reason why I'm saying something like that is because I'm so confident. I think a lot of us are. We know how talented this group is and what they're all capable of if they buy into something for 4 quarters and focus. They're actually a group of very talented footballers. But talent doesn't get you anywhere without the hard work and the unity, especially in a sport like this. This is what makes the sport so great and so unique. There's 22 players who take the field. 18 on the field, obviously 4 on the bench. And there's so many things I want to say about what I want to see this week, but I think at the top of the tree would be, hard enough for long enough, as I've been saying all season, but the unity. I felt like one thing I probably missed in my review of round 5 was, where's the unity? There were 22 guys, and none of them were on the same page. There might have been a few little factions here and there. I just want to see, can we play with a spirit this week? Because Brisbane are tough. Brisbane are professionals. Brisbane have gone through their rebuild and they've come out the other end, and now they're contenders. And they're a team that we thought we were only 12 or 18 months behind, only as far back as 2019. We thought we were the next Brisbane based on where we were at certain points. You see the decisions they've made and what we've made, and not just with players they've brought in, but things they've put in place. I remember when Brisbane couldn't get over that hump. They were just losing, and eventually they started winning, and then they became a contender. Now, they're going to present a challenge. And when we fight back, which we're going to do this week, they're going to get really physical with us. You just know it. And, are we going to go back into our shells like we did against Port? And are we going to present the boys against men situation? Or are we going to push back, I don't know why I'm thinking about the Cripps 38 possession 4-goal game against Brisbane, but maybe this is one of those situations where Cripps gets confident about what he can do against the Lions. But more than that, enough. I don't want to get the Messiah complex some legs, because it's got to be a buy-in from everyone. I would hope that we're using first options, right options, helping our teammates, and doing the basic things right more than what Brisbane do. We need a response. We need to hit 3 and 3. We want, and we the measuring stick is finals. That's the measuring stick. And if that's the measuring stick, this is a winnable game, and this is a game we have to win. And not to say it's going to gloss over things, but this is a win against Brisbane gives us some sort of confidence moving forward and some credibility, because they're real, they're legit, they're very talented, and they're well drilled. So unity is a big one for me this week. And I just hope that we can rise to the occasion and hopefully build some more momentum and confidence throughout the fan base and really give us something to be confident about. Because at the moment, we've just beaten teams that we as a club or supporter base expect us to beat. So that's where I sit on that. Now, unfortunately for me, personally, on a personal level, I'm going to miss the game. Well, I'm not going to miss it. I'm going to be watching it live, but I'm just not going to be at the game. Please take note, anybody getting married. So one of my best friends, Andrew, I'm a groomsman in his wedding. And long story short, the wedding is on Saturday. Please don't get married during footy season. Like, how selfish could you be to put a wedding day on a Carlton game day? I mean, seriously. Doesn't the world revolve around blue abroad for people? Goodness me. No. So I'll be watching it from a wedding. I don't think we're going to do fan cams this week, just putting it out there for you guys. But nevertheless, it's an important game, and I'm excited to see what the group does in terms of a response. Changes. So I had the pleasure of going to watch the reserves last week, and I can honestly say, from my point of view, the only two people I think that could come into the ones this week and really impact positively, confidently, I would say Cunningham, because he's had a couple of good weeks, mixed in with a concussion protocol, and Stocker. He had a ridiculous game. Now with Stocker, I understand there's a little bit of patience needed with him because he's had a very turbulent 2020. His body's still getting back on to the footy schedule, if you will, and we've got to be very mindful of him and his well-being, his mental well-being, his physical well-being. And so as much as I say get him in as soon as possible, I trust that the club will be precautious with him and make sure that when he does come in, he stays in, and that's the idea. So I think those two are the ones that really stake their claim. I know people are talking about Sam Ramsey. I just don't think he's quite ready to go into the midfield just yet, personally. Maybe on a wing, but potentially that's a Cottrell type role, or maybe you take out Kennedy and you play Ramsey on the wing instead of Kennedy, because I think we one thing about last week, we got sucked into the ball a lot, because naturally an inside midfielder on a wing is going to gravitate towards the ball as opposed to keep his width. So anyway, I think those are the two names that could be floated up. At the time of making this video, I'm not sure how Jacob Wiedering has recovered, so the injury report is not out right this very second. I hope he's okay, because they've got some weapons there in their forward line, the Lions. So hopefully Wieders is fine. I think Willow's put himself in a bit of a tough spot because of how well Stocker has played, and if they're going to bring in Stocker and play him in Willow's role, I think there's a chance that could happen. I mean, something creative. This isn't real. I mean, I don't really. I'm not an expert, but just from the eye test, I mean, I think we're missing the creativity in the half-forward line with Martin and Fisher. Obviously, Murph's there, and he can, generate, quality inside 50s, but I think we're missing one more, especially with Martin and Fisher out. So do we throw in a Sam Petrevski-Seton into the half-forward line? Is that the move? Does that allow us to bring in a Stocker, or allow us to try Zach Williams at stages instead of maybe rotating him forward, we're rotating back? I think we need to get Samo back to his instinctive best. I know it was one bad game, and prior to that he had two really good ones. So I'm just trying to think of something. It feels like we need to shake up. Whether that's the case or not remains to be seen. We'll find out a lot about this group and the coaching box, and we'll find out a lot this week. I love playing against finals contenders because you just get the answers that you need. So those are my general thoughts at the moment, but I'm really interested to see what you think about this week, how you're approaching it. I've heard a lot of people tell me that they're not going this week. Maybe that's because it's early in the week and, you generally fire up, Wednesday, Thursday. But we've got to stick the course. And the thing is, we will. I don't think we need David Teague to tell us to get to the stadiums and support the boys. We don't need that, David. We need to find out. We need a little bit more conviction as to how we're going to win games of football, not just compete and play our way in games of football. It's about winning for me and not about competing. I think winning is the measuring stick, not competing. That's kind of how I'm feeling at the moment. So it's time to move on. That's the beauty of this sport. You play another game very soon and hopefully make amends. So please share your thoughts, share your ins and your outs, and let's hope that this is a much better performance from the group and they represent, the jumper and, what it means to play for this great club on Saturday afternoon. So with that, have a great one and go the Mighty Blues.